75, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the planning board of the Township of Franklin has been provided. If everyone would please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so for a roll call, Charles Brown and Mark Dancy both asked to be excused. Councilman Embarson? He's not here. Theodore Chase?
Here.
Robert LaCourt?
Here.
Sean Keller?
Here.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Here.
Mahir Rafiq?
Here.
Robert Thomas?
Here.
Chairman Orsini?
Here. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We'll start with the minutes for the regular meeting from October 15th, 2025.
Robert LaCourt and Mahir Rafiq cannot vote.
I'll move them. Second. You can't vote, right? What day?
No. Mahir and Robert LaCourt.
LaCourt. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Second from Rob. Sorry.
No problem. Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sean Keller?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
And Chairman Orsini?
Yes. Hamilton Street Management, LLC.
Robert LaCourt and Mahir Rafiq cannot vote.
Okay, just to remind everybody, this is the final. We had given them preliminary. They came back to tell us a few things that we wanted to make sure were addressed, and then we gave them final approval. So with that, I would move that.
Is that you, Shaw?
Yes.
Okay. Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Shaw Keller?
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini?
Yes. The second resolution we have tonight, done with great painstaking attention to detail over Thanksgiving break by Peter. 500 Atrium LLC.
Robert LaCourt and Mahir Rafiq cannot vote.
I sent it to you. I will move that.
Second.
Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Shaw Keller? Jennifer Ragnow?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Chairman Orsini?
Yes. So we have a few discussion items. Maybe we'll do the easy one first, and then I'll turn it over to Mark to do the calendar. And I think Mark also has a few things to say about upcoming master plan reexamination. So, and what the board will have to do in early 2026. So, and then he'll talk about the bylaws. So without further ado, the 2026 calendar, anything you want to note about that? We'll get that out of the way first. This calendar, expect meetings to be canceled and moved, but that's the way it looks now.
Right, and I did check with the normal board members just to ask if there was any religious holidays or anything, because I want to make sure we cover everybody, and every religious holiday in 2026 does not fall on a Wednesday.
Perfect. So with that, I'll move the calendar.
Second.
Can we do this by affirmation?
Peter?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Calendar's adopted. Mark, over to you.
Okay, so this is changes to the bylaws that have been really memorializing discussions that have been had both with the planning board and the zoning board, and trying to encourage applicants to do certain things. And we thought that we should make it more official by incorporating it into both the bylaws of the zoning board and the planning board. The first one is the use of technology. We've been trying to encourage applicants that when they appear before this board to come prepared with a laptop to project it to these beautiful screens here. Not only does it help the planning board in the review of the application, it helps the public that is here to view the application, as well as the public that might be watching either live or on the subsequent YouTube videos. So we're making it abundantly clear that those applicants that are represented by professionals, which is basically every application before this board, again, have to be prepared to project it to these screens. And frankly, it gives the chairman the discretion to send them packing if they don't. And we will be putting in our correspondence, that staff sends to applicants, making them abundantly aware of that requirement. And the other one Again, this is consistent with basically policy that we've been trying to encourage applicants that when they resubmit, if there are staff reports that have been generated, we want them to provide a written narrative explaining exactly how they've changed the plans. Don't just resubmit the plans. Comment 1, C sheet 27, detail number 25, we changed X, Y, and Z. Comment 2, so tell us how you changed your plans. And again, or if they had gone before this, if they gone before the board, and the board said, we want you to look at X, Y, and Z. Put it in writing how you revise your plans and tell us where to look for those changes. So those are the two changes to the bylaws.
Somebody doesn't follow them.
They don't get hurt. They don't get hurt. They're
Yeah,
just-
yeah,
Because if I first of all, the technology is dead easy, number one. Number two, when I look at a resubmitted application, I don't want to read the whole thing. I just want to know how you addressed what we've asked you to address. And I'm sure for staff, that's really important because you can't generate staff reports without having to comb through it. So, yeah, they just they won't be hurt.
to be honest with you, it's always confused me when applicants don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I figure, if don't you want to put your best foot forward? You know, you told us to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is how we did it. Instead of just submitting the plans and making us guess, and we have to look through the different sheets. It's, tell us how you changed the plans. Be proactive about it. Tell us where to look. So again, that's what this does.
Yeah, so I mean, with that, you need a motion for us to adopt those, and
Yes.
I would move that for both changes.
I'll second.
Jennifer, Theodore Chase,
Yes.
Robert LaCourt,
Yes.
Shaw Keller,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragnow,
Yes.
Mahir Rafik,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. So, before we go to public comments, I should have done this at the top, I apologize. Anyone who's here for Houghton Dune LLC, that's being carried to, January 3rd, right? 7th, sorry, January 7th. And this is your notification that that is happening. If they were to carry again, they would probably have to notice it. Because I think that's what is in our bylaws. So,
You allowed them to do, actually, they don't need to notice again. You allowed them because the attorney had told me to carry it to today.
Right.
And then one of their professionals called and said they couldn't do it. The secretary, being diligent, she immediately sent it out. She immediately called me, I called you, have it marked on there. They do not need to know, it's not for January, but if they go past that and you make that decision, that's fine.
okay, alright.
But I just want it on the record that they don't need to notice
Okay.
again.
So January 7th for Houghton Dune. I give that a 50-50 at best. With that, we'll open to general public comment. So the one hearing that we do have tonight is NPH Real Estate. There will be a separate opening to the public for that application. So if you're here for that, you will get a chance to talk about that when that comes up. This is for general planning comment. So open to the public for that. That's my motion. Just give me a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is now open to the public or any general planning comments not related to NPH. Seeing no takers, move to close. All in favor?
Aye.
Matt, you're up.
Actually, Chairman, can I quickly go over the master plan? Do you want me to do that real quick?
Yes. Give us a
Yeah,
second.
I can put that on there.
Sounds good.
Take just a few minutes. So I just wanted to make the board aware. So as the board knows, as topics have come up over time, we've updated our master plan over the years. We most recently prepared a draft BI, a master plan for the BI zone, which the planning board may be hearing at some point in the future. We've also updated things like the historic element of the master plan, the farmland preservation plan, the environmental resource inventory. Most recently, you adopted an amendment to the trails and pathways plan last year. But we do still have an obligation every 10 years to do a comprehensive reexamination of our master plan. and that's coming due very quickly in the first quarter of 2026. So what I'm alerting the board is I think we're going to have a busy January and February. Basically, what the master plan reexamination is um, you have to look at your master plan, identify basically are there elements that are out of date that need to be brought up to date? Are there things that have changed that would change our planning policies and recommendations over the years? And come up with a document that identifies those things that are still current and up to date. Maybe there's some things, some elements that need to be updated. Maybe there's some elements, like the farmland plan and perhaps um, historic element that are they were done in 2019. They're still current. They don't need to be updated. Um, I believe the Open Space Commission may be looking at making some recommendations to update the Open Space Plan. That was from 2013. So that's getting a little old. The reason I mention that is that basically we have to put together a document, adopt a master plan reexamination by early March. And what I described to the chairman before the meeting, it's kind of um, it's kind of like a big to-do list of kind of where we stand on the master plan. And then it's, again, if there are certain things that need to be updated, then we can do that subsequent to adoption of the reexamination report my guess would be adopting at some point in February. So I'll be preparing a draft of it in the next few months. I'm also going to be reaching out to the different committees, historic, the Ag Preservation Committee, um, environmental, open space, asking them, because each of those committees had helped us on those different elements of the master plan that correspond to their, in a way, area of expertise. And I'm going to ask them to evaluate those, essentially asking historic, look at the historic element. Where are we? Are we still good? And having them give us some feedback on where they think we stand on each of those elements as well. And I think that'll help the board, do this reexamination in the next few months. And I'll start that process this week.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. And I think it seems like 2 or 3 months is probably, let's say the end of March, maybe we have 3 months or whatever. Sounds quick, but as Mark has pointed out, we've done some stuff, right? We just did the trails plan not too long ago. We had Tara in to do that. We had, back in 2019, we had some stuff done. We had a BI study done with traffic and all of that. So, I mean, we're not starting from ground zero in any way. But I would like to have, and I told Mark this, I would like to have our open space consultant in. I would like to have the historic preservation in because, this is the fun part of our job as a planning board, I think. And too often we don't get to do it. We sit here and hear hearings, which is actually a duty of the planning board, but it's not the role of the planning board. It's to actually plan, and so you get that chance when you do these master plan examinations. And it's not as like thou shalt not touch it, but every 10 years you can do it whenever you want to. But we've been fairly diligent in addressing elements as they've come up. So I don't think this will be a heavy lift, but I also want it to be fun. So I want to get some people in here that I want to hear from. I want to call Tara in, Tara Kenyon, our open space to this is your duty. I want her to come in and enlighten us with what their plans are. Some of you may have read Franklin Inn just got a fairly large preservation grant from Somerset County. So, I mean, these are things that are actually fun for us to hear, and maybe how we can help. So that's my addition to it.
Bob Thomas had a
Just
question.
have a quick question, because I just read where the Environmental Commission is asking the council to set up a stormwater management utility, or is that going to be part of included in the master plan, or are we going to be included, or are we included in something like this? Is it too new to have any information?
I don't know. I really don't know anything about that recommendation. So, and I don't know. I'd have to look to see how that may or may not affect a master plan. I don't know.
Or they want to charge people a fee based on the amount of runoff?
Yeah, I'm aware of that issue generally. I just don't know I don't know the impact that may or may not have on a master plan. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, that, I've read this and I know very little, but from what I understand, the first step is feasibility. So, and I think they have to get some money to pay for that feasibility assessment to set up such a utility. So I think until they do that, we don't probably have an immediate role.
Yeah,
But it's a great question.
my guess would be that that's a pretty cumbersome process, and probably has a process all unto itself that is not going to be, I think it's going to, if the township was to move forward on something like that, it's not going to be tied to the timing of a master plan reexamination.
Are there any that the state wants to put us in that are new? It seems to me I recall that there are some elements that the state is now requiring.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I had a conversation today with Tara Kenyon, and one of the questions is there is a requirement that if you update your land use element of the master plan, you also have to have a sustainability element. So that's one of the things we have to look at. Does that mean you have to have a sustainability element if you do a reexamination report? I don't think so. I think it's if you actually do a new land use element, restructure your land use element, then you have to incorporate that. But that's one of the things we have to look at. It's a good question. We'll look at that.
So thanks for your indulging us in that conversation, Matt. And so without further ado, we will be hearing from NPH Real Estate and PLN 240005. For those of you, just to frame, this is their third time back with this is a redesign. And I think the plan has gotten to a pretty good point. So with that, turn it over.
Good evening, members of the board. Matt Flynn from Savo Sharp Law, here tonight representing the applicant MPH Real Estate in connection with its application for preliminary and final major site plan approval with variances to construct a two-building office and retail center on the lot designated as Block 502.7.01 in your tax records, better known as 390 Davidson Ave. You'll recall the site is at the corner of Davidson and New Brunswick. We were here on May 21st and September 3rd. We presented some testimony from our engineer and responded to certain comments as they related to site layout, landscaping, etc. Among other things, we agreed to carry this application to tonight to better respond to those concerns and present a revised plan that encapsulated some of the board's suggestions and comments. So we are here tonight, as the chairman said, after making some plan revisions, listening to some suggestions about the site layout. We've met with your board's professional staff multiple times in the meantime to craft an application that we hope addresses not just the concerns of the board, but also makes this application consistent with other retail and office mixed uses across town, which I believe is the intent of Mr. Keeley's review memo and attaching some pictures of existing sites and how they work. So we think that what we present tonight, we hope to convince you that this two-building layout, which does remain important to my client because he does intend to occupy the second floor of one of the mixed-use buildings for his accounting firm, that two-building setup does remain a feasible design for the project, and with some of the other changes that we made address some of the board's overarching concerns. What you hear about tonight, better landscaping and buffering, additional screening, the building and parking are set further back from from New Brunswick. Pedestrian access and circulation has been improved. Site circulation has been made safer. Driveway access has been made safer. The pedestrian amenities have been updated to be more consistent with, I believe, what your ordinance intends, and just an overall improvement on the scope of this project. And what you'll notice is that this application involves many additional plantings along both street frontages to try to address the concerns of the board to make sure that the application is appropriately landscaped. So with me tonight, I do have four witnesses. I have Shri Kodawala, our professional engineer, to discuss the changes to the site plan. I have David Feldman, our architect. I have Betsy Dolan, our traffic engineer, and I have Cree Rodkamp, our professional planner to justify the variance relief. So unless there are any questions, I would like to call up Mr. Crowell. We're going to present some exhibits that we have, and we're going to display on the screen, but I have paper copies here.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yep.
Get set up. He was previously sworn and qualified. I don't know, do you re-swear him?
I'll re-swear him, but I don't know the qualifications other than that are still good.
Sure you raise your right hand?
Be sure the testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I don't.
Just for the record, since you last appeared and qualified as an expert in the area of structural engineering, have your credentials been detrimentally affected at all?
Excellent.
Good evening. So, turn your mic on so it's clean.
Did you put the, oh, I was gonna say, he's got a USB.
Let's try this. I'm thinking. Maybe the center one isn't working. I'm gonna take his thing and plug it into the one over here. Isn't there a plug?
Yeah. That down there?
No, that's not working.
It was clerks. Station.
Pete and I are just laughing about the fact that we adopted this technology.
You better be ready. Show us the technology.
Just tell me next. And I'll Didn't even touch it. I just touched it. There we go.
Good evening again. The exhibit we have here is just more of like a 2020 NJDE aerial photograph of the site, which you can see right at the northwest corner of New Brunswick Road and Davidson Avenue. The site is 2.5 acres, and there's on both sides Davidson Avenue as well as New Brunswick Road. And we are providing basically an access on both streets. So my next exhibit will show that.
Look where A3 is the aerial, and then the next one.
Is that the right one?
That's it. Yeah. So Basically, it's just more of like a color renting of proposed two buildings. Since we were here last time in September, and we got feedback from professionals, and we made the revisions. We had a kind of little, like a hammerhead building and one retail building. So both buildings have more of now rectangle shape. And our intent was, based on meeting, to provide more greener area and more screening along New Brunswick Road. And henceforth, we removed basically a two-sided parking lot along New Brunswick Road and created a green space, and where we are basically planting and doing screening to avoid, like, when whoever is traveling on a New Brunswick Road will not be basically going to see a big projected building in front of them. So that was a big change we made since last time we came here, as well as because of the change, we had to kind of create a 3 stormwater management system instead of 2 before. So we submitted our plans, and we heard from the township engineer that we need to move the proposed detention basin below the parking lot rather than having in a green area, because that does not allow us to plant like a shade trees on top of the underground stormwater management system. So we would be able to make the change, which is not here on our plan we are presenting today, but we can make that change, subsurface change, and basically that will allow us to plant shade trees so the roots can go deeper, and it will basically sustain there and it will grow.
So let me stop you, just so the board knows. I know you don't have the laptop in front of you, so you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. But so, correct me if I'm wrong. The plan the board saw last time, and if you're looking at the screen, and hopefully you can see that
Yes.
my cursor there. You basically had parking
Yes.
in this area, correct?
Yes.
Which and the buffer area, the landscape area was roughly half the width of
Correct.
what's proposed
Yes.
now. So
Yes.
by reconfiguring this, you basically increase the buffering, the potential landscaping along New Brunswick Road, basically double that.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And then when you're talking about the stormwater detention basin, the plan that was submitted, you have an underground basin roughly in this area.
Yes.
And our engineer suggested, can you move it from here to underneath this driveway area here? And by doing that, if you're able to do that, then, because if it's here, you can't plant on top of it. But if you remove here, relocate it here, then you can also put more landscaping, not just a wider buffer, but also more landscaping in this area.
Got it.
And your testimony is that you can do that?
We can do it. We have the soil logs, which allows us to design as per the stormwater management rules, and we will be able to do it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure the board was understanding your testimony. Thank you.
And also we created a little more like a larger green area in front of the entrance of the office building. So that will provide some, like rather than walking straight off the parking lot, you will have some green areas and some nicer landscaping elements, hardscape to access the office building. And as far as the variance goes now with the parking, we are looking for about 89 parking, and we are providing 83 parking spaces, where we are taking 4 credits for EV parking spaces. So basically, we are short of 6 parking spaces, and that's what the variance we are seeking from the board, as well as the aisle width when we drive on a parking lot. The required is 26 feet. We are proposing 25 feet. So there's like about 1 feet of shorter aisle width.
A loading area, that was one of the questions that came up in the review memos, how a delivery would occur.
Usually these days, based on the retail uses, they will have instant drop-off and take-off. So there would not be any overnight parking of any trucks, or they come, offload, and just leave. And they usually deliveries are never scheduled on a peak hours.
So in other words, the types of tenants that we would be looking for, this site would not require a designated loading area as part of the. And can you confirm, just for purposes of the record, your understanding that the reason that we kept the 2 buildings separate as part of the design is to sort of separate the office component on the larger building from
And you agree that it is the intent of the applicant to fill that larger building predominantly with office tenants?
Correct. That's one of the main.
For the site.
The lighting is basically typically what is required, and our height of poles are not more than 16 feet. So we are trying to see that the lights don't spread onto the outer areas, or not on the New Brunswick road as well as Davidson Avenue.
Would you agree that once construction has commenced, that we would ensure compliance with all applicable lighting codes, whether that be from the township ordinance or from the state?
Yes.
Would you also agree that we are in receipt of the board engineer's most recent review memorandum, and there's nothing in that review memorandum that we cannot comply with as a condition of approval?
No, we would be able to comply with the policy.
And the same goes for Mr. Healy's memo, although there is some additional testimony that you requested.
Yes. Yes, about few trees protection along the Davidson Avenue. So we have the negotiations going on, which we can preserve, and we would like to preserve as many as we can. And so whatever the decision made by the township planner, we will honor it.
So we would work to his satisfaction on preservation of trees within our landscape areas.
Yes.
One of the big changes here that the board should probably be aware of is the amenity area. That's where you're going. But I mean that has, if you recall, the amenity area was right up against Davidson Avenue. We advised you that it would probably be better internal to the site where you have located. I think that's the sort of orangish areas there.
Yes.
Which again allows you to increase the landscaping on Davidson, shore facing Davidson, and put the amenity area in a place that people may actually use it, which might not happen if it was against the road. So that was a positive change.
Yes, you can confirm that that's the amenity area with the cursor right there?
Yes.
Okay. And the one other item I wanted to hit on, the variance for the signage. It's my understanding that originally we had 20-foot signs set 10 foot back, which required a variance. At the suggestion of Mr. Healy, we decreased the sign heights to 10 feet each.
Instead of 20 feet allowed, we kept it at 10 feet because we are 10 feet from the property line on the New Brunswick Road.
So you still need the variance for the setback of them, but they're half the size.
Half the size.
And is somebody going to testify? I mean, I think some of the renderings, there was some indication of what they're going to look like. Is the architect going to testify to that?
Do you want to hit signage or do you want to leave signage?
I can just talk about signage.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, if you just take them up. Okay.
You're going to, I don't know how to change that. Oh, yeah, there we go.
Here we'll call A4 the colorized site plan. Yep. And then this will be A5, which is the addition from New Brunswick. Yeah, it's a rendering from New Brunswick.
Yeah, this is from the actual Davidson Road. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we were working on the order of the two, right? It's A5. So let's do A5 from Davidson or New Brunswick.
This is from New Brunswick.
Okay, so A5 will be rendering from New Brunswick. A6 will be rendering from Davidson.
This is the sign will look like instead of 20 feet tall sign, it will be 10 feet because we are asking for it. And it varies the height, so it won't be projecting too high.
And is the idea of that 10 feet back as opposed to 20 to help visibility for tenants on it?
Yes.
And what I'm seeing is a sign that incorporates the architectural features, not just the overall design, but also the materials. So it seems, I don't know what those materials are, but I can see the building in the back, and it looks like it's incorporating those materials into the design of the signs.
Yes, that was our intent to keep the similar finish between signs as well as the building, so there's no contrast between signs.
Okay. And if the board was inclined to approve that the site plan and these variances, you would obviously accept as a condition that it would look as depicted on these exhibits.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so looking through this, I mean, the way that it's rendered is, I think, exactly what the board had hoped to see, in terms of the buffering and the screening and everything else. And I can only hope it turns out that way. I will give you credit for having your renderings look actually like real things instead of cartoon trees, like some other applications I've seen in the past. But I shall go on name, but yeah, no, it's great if it turns out that way. Lighting. Let me ask you a question. Lighting. It's going to be LED.
Yes, all
Yeah.
lights will be.
Lighting's good. Are there going to be cutoff hours in terms of? I know your client may not know, other than his accounting practice and whatever, but exactly what the uses are going to be, either for office or commercial. But what I'm asking in a nutshell is, will there be a diminution in overall lighting at a certain time of night? In other words, kind of like the security type lighting, and then during the day, or in the early evening, there may be more, right? And the reason I ask is because obviously facing New Brunswick, right? We do have Somerset on, separated by a fairly large detention basin or fountain that they have, but then you do have houses there. So just interested in whether or not there will be a sort of a new phase lighting.
We don't anticipate there being late night operations, so 10 o'clock we would start illumination of the lights.
Okay.
And also we will provide a larger back shields, because many of the times that we design, but really in construction they forget to put back shields, and that spills a lot of light on them. And many times you see many shopping centers where the lights are spilling.
Yeah.
So the plan shows a back shield, and I'll definitely see that the back shield is there. So
Yeah, I mean with 16-foot poles, that's not too much. I mean, a lot of the spillage that I see around Township comes from older uses that don't have those up-to-date lighting fixtures. Not only the shielding down the basin, and they're still not LEDs. I don't know if you can go further into Mark's report. I think you've addressed most everything, and maybe the best person to have to do Mark's report. If there's anything else, Mark, you want to send out?
I'm going through the report. I'm doing exactly what you're suggesting, Mr. Chairman. I believe, and you'll have to excuse me because since there have been a few meetings, I don't recall exactly where we left off, but I believe the board had been looking for some more landscaping along the northerly property line to shield the residents to the north. You'll have to excuse me because I forget if you had presented that at the previous hearing or not, but
yes.
It may be worth repeating.
Yeah, we added the evergreen screening there.
Okay.
So
Are one of these exhibits the landscaping plan by any chance?
yes, we have one of the sheets here. One of the exhibits is not a blown-up landscaping plan.
Okay.
We have a landscaping plan as part of the site plan submission.
Okay. So at least if you could verbally describe the changes that were made to the plan to address that.
Yes, we have provided the entire boundary between the parking lot and the property line with like a half of the parking lot is covered with the evergreen trees and the rest is with the shade trees.
What's can you just describe generally what are these evergreen trees and just generally how many, what size? If you could just give the board some.
It's like a blue juniper and they are like about 10 and we have 32.
And Ted, I believe this comment came from you.
Yeah.
Did you have a chance, Ted, to look at the plans? And
I looked at that.
I can just put it up in a second.
A row of eastern red cedar, which is as native as you can get. Choice there. Stay reasonably columnar and quite dense. And then there's one shade tree in the middle of it.
Yep. So I think the plan initially, if I recall correctly, there really wasn't any landscaping along that
Right.
northerly boundary. And then now it looks like there's 10 to 15 evergreen trees and 2 deciduous trees.
It's 32 and 32 basically trees. So it will prevent, like, if someone parks the car, the headlight won't be seen by the neighbors. And it will give it like a good screening. Then we have a shade trees, like where the house is not the neighbor's home.
Okay.
That's more of it's like a driveway area.
Any comments on that, Ted?
It's fine with me for what we want there.
Okay.
It looks fine to me for what we want there.
One question I had was the paver area to the northeast of the 2-story building.
Yes.
There's a large paver area. I'm assuming part of that is paver because you can't plant on top of it, but then the rest of it, it just seems kind of wasted, unnecessary impervious surface.
We would have some kind of flower bed and we'll make the change.
Okay.
Not to have this whole thing solid like a hardscape.
Again, so the board knows what we're talking about. It's this area right
Yes.
in here. So what he's saying is that he can convert a portion of that to more green space.
And when we comply with all other stuff, we will definitely show that area with more details of like the green plantings.
I think that addresses the remainder of my engineering related comments, Mr. Chairman. I mean, the one last thing was, again, they still have to do the calculations for chapter 222, which is the tree replacement. So we have to, still don't know what the tree replacement requirement is going to be on the site.
We would offer asking for a waiver. We will comply.
As I recall, they're just sort of scattered trees. You're not taking down any solid tree covered area. Maybe a little bit of the
Yeah, I mean, to the degree that there's solid tree cover, it's in the rear of the site that is proposed to remain.
It's a regulated, the rear of the site's a regulated area, so we're not touching it.
Yeah, so I mean, when you do the counts and make sure, maybe with all your plantings, you know. But you just gotta put it out. All right. Any questions more for engineer? You are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you will remain sworn in case we need to again, but you can go on to your next.
David Feldman, our architect. David, you're going to be sworn. Raise your right hand.
Do you swear the testimony you provide us the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
If you state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record, please.
David H. Feldman, F as in Frank, ELDMAN, 1670 Route 34 North, Wall Township, New Jersey.
And can you give the board the benefit of your professional credentials, please?
I'm a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, as well as about 8 to 10 other states along the East Coast. I have a Bachelor of Architecture from Temple University. I've been a licensed architect since about.
It all sounds good, so you're qualified.
So David, using your architectural plans, why don't you describe the proposed field of building materials, and then some of the architecture-related comments in Mr. Healy's report.
Okay, so as previously stated, there's 2 buildings that we're proposing. The drawing before you was prepared in my office under my supervision. That is the 2-story office building consisting of approximately just under 20,000 square feet. I believe it's 19,900 with equal space per floor. The intent of the building use is primarily office space, and as depicted in the renderings, it's going to be a mixture of glass, stucco, and faux wood. I do have some samples here of materials that we intend to use that I brought with us in case people would like to see it, as well as the colors. As far as your design standards, I feel that we certainly met and exceeded them. We break up the boxiness of the structure by varying the height of the roof line and the walls, the type of material that's used, as well as the different colors, emphasizing the main entrance to the building, which is actually at a 45-degree angle entry in comparison to the rest of the building, with the landscape green area that the engineer testified to prior to. We also addressed some of the concerns of the rear of the building. In the previous submittal, we did not have the same glazing and fenestration that we are currently depicting on this submittal, dated 10/14/25. The same holds true with the retail space, which is a 1-story structure of just under 5,000 square feet, which is on P2, if you want to.
Going in the right direction here?
I'm sorry, P4.
P4? It might be a different set. You'll have to. Looks like that's sheet 3 of 3.
If you want to stick to the first building, I could go through the floor plans.
This one?
Do you want to talk about the retail space, the exterior building, or the interior of the office space?
That's the.
I don't think we need the interior detail. I mean,
Okay.
that's obviously see. I mean, I appreciate your detail of the exterior. I mean, I think it looks like a really nice building. It looks very natural colored. I think, again, I'll go back to these. If you're testifying, and I think you are, and it's going to look like that.
I sure hope so.
It's going to look great. Well, we sure hope so too. We sure hope so too. So you know, I think if that's the result, then I'm good with that. Does the board have any questions or comments in terms of the architecture?
Could you put those on the screen so public can see it?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We can have those.
Show those renderings.
And as the engineer testified about the signage, it is our intent to use similar material to the building.
Can you talk about screening of rooftop equipment?
Yeah, so from my experience, the rooftop equipment on the 2-story building, if it's situated in the middle of the structure, which is what our intention is going to be, the site angle really from grade prohibits you from really seeing the equipment on the structure. because of the height of where it's located, the distance from where you're visualizing it, and the angle at which, you would see the top of the roof, and then beyond, you wouldn't necessarily see the mechanical equipment on the taller building. So it's really not our intent to need any screening for those mechanicals. However, if it does become apparent where it is visual, because of the elevations of the road or whatnot, we will provide screening around that. The screening on the smaller building is probably more of a concern, and that we are going to screen as well as place the mechanicals within the center portion of the structure as well.
That sounds like a parapet.
Yes.
I have nothing further, Mr. Paul.
Tim?
Well, the comment, and I think I've probably made it before, if you can go back to the floor plan of the two-story building.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was an oversight on our part. An exit door will be provided at the secondary stairwell
Good.
coming down.
Good, yeah.
Yeah,
It
that was an
only- It's
oversight.
only an emergency.
No,
exit
it's gonna
door,
be
but
necessary by code as well,
it's-
so,
Yeah,
yeah, that was an oversight on our part.
Thank you.
Just for the record, what's on the screen right now is A7. Area rendering from the Brunswick Road.
Yes.
Okay. Super duper. Thanks.
Same drill, I guess. We're all still sworn in if we have any other questions, but we can move to the next one.
Betsy, go on our traffic.
Got the feeling it was gonna be that.
Did she stand up before I spoke, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
She did.
Also seems to be having flow down.
Yeah.
For the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, all truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I
And
do.
if you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Elizabeth Dolan, D-O-L-A-N, Dolan and Dean Consulting Engineers, 181 West High Street in Somerville, New Jersey.
Betsy, your qualification changed since you were last?
No, just more years. License is in good standing.
Thank you. So your office did prepare a traffic report in support of this application.
Yes, we did.
Can you give a high-level overview of the conclusions of that report?
Sure. I would point out that our report is from February 2024, and the plan has evolved over time. So we analyzed the 18,568 square feet of office that was originally proposed. So that was a few thousand square feet more than the current 11,666 square feet. For retail, we originally had 7,490 feet, and it's gone up a little bit to 8,380. The report analyzed 57 morning peak hour trips, it's a total inbound and outbound, and 90 evening peak hour trips, total inbound and outbound. When we adjust for the new building areas and the fact that we're now at the 12th edition of the True Generation Manual, the morning peak hour trips increased by 13, the evening peak hour increased by 6. That's not enough to materially change the results of the analysis, and also our report had looked at a full movement driveway originally on New Brunswick Road. So we've done a lot of homework in anticipation of the time of testifying, and the results of our study with these new numbers from the change in square footage and the updated ITE manual. Analysis shows that driveways will operate at acceptable levels of service during these peak hour periods, recognizing that the peak hours are the combination of the highest driveway volumes combined with the highest street volumes, and during all other hours, the driveways will operate similarly to how they are projected to operate during peak hours or better. There are no changes to the intersection levels of service between the before and after, with the addition of site traffic. So there's no negative impact associated with this site development. And I would also point out that some of the traffic that will likely be generated by the retail component may be traffic already on the streets and diverted into the site in the form of a pass-by trip. And so we did take a small credit for that during the evening peak hour. I think the more important part of the assessment, though, is the parking, because as our engineer was testifying, we do have a shortage. But again, I would point to data published by the Institute of Transportation Engineers in the 6th edition of the Parking Generation Manual. That would indicate that for the current 11,666 square feet of office, we would need 35 spaces. And for the 8,380 square feet of retail, we would need 38 for a total of 73. So that is below the proposed height and supply, and I think the variance can be granted. The ITE data has been updated. I think that was maybe 2 years ago that 6th edition came out. And the one space per 200 square feet of retail in the ordinance and one per 250 in the ordinance for office, those are pretty high based on the current ITE research and data. So I would suggest that parking variance can be granted. It's a slight deviation from your ordinance, but recognizing the ITE data, I think that should give the board a level of comfort. And I've often testified about the 24-foot aisle versus the 26 feet required. 24 is, again, the recommendation from the ITE, which is also less pervious and will accommodate two-way circulation. So that's my high-level overview.
And in other words, taking 6 spaces from the ordinance requirement, even though it's an acceptable provision under the ITE, and also shortening the proposed drive aisle by 1 foot compared to what the ordinance requires, lets us devote that space to other things for the site, such as landscaping, etc.
That's right, and I'm sorry, it's 25 feet on the plan, I said 24, so it's 1 foot short. But yes, that does allow for the enhancements that our site engineer just testified to.
And in your opinion, the site can be safely circulated by incoming vehicles, pedestrians, etc.
Yes, we've got sidewalk provided throughout the site, crosswalks across the driveways, the appropriate pedestrian connections, and a two-way circulation at 25 feet, as I said, is the standard and is appropriate for safe and efficient circulation in this type of setting.
Betsy and Matt, there was a comment number 11 in Darren Massey's report, addressing the crosswalks, and probably before your engineer, I should have asked if you were compliant with, Darren's comment, but some of them you are addressed, but we can cross that bridge in a bit. But in terms of the crosswalk, an ADA curb ramp should be added for Davidson Avenue crossing. The crossing must be realigned. It appears pedestrian standard. The crossing warning may be required. I'm not familiar with what these requirements are, but I know our engineer is. I just wondered if that is something you want to address in terms of.
Our engineer already fully stipulated all the comments in Darren's letter, so we will comply with that. I think it just is going to require a minor change to the grade.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean it shouldn't be a big deal, but I just didn't know whether you were like, no, we looked at it and we don't agree that you need it, but you're saying
We're happy to comply.
Alright. Well, that makes things easy. That was the only question I had that regarded traffic or
Something I've had to bring up earlier was really just a site plan. Although it has, I was looking for the second electric charging station, which I finally found over by Davidson Road. Your label is upside down.
Would you like us to fix that?
Oh, I see.
It would be a good idea.
We'll fix the details.
Yeah, I see that now.
Happy to fix it.
Just have one question, Mr. Chairman. So, and again, this may have been addressed previously, but forgive me. The exit to New Brunswick Road, in response to comments, that's now been changed to be a right out only.
That's correct.
And it looks like that's being accomplished by a curbed island to direct the cars to the right.
Yes.
The plans depict certain signage, and it also shows a right turn arrow. So I guess the question is, can you just tell the board what signage is proposed? And is that arrow illustrative, or is that going to be actually painted on the pavement?
The arrow and the only word will be painted on the pavement, and Is that a?
It's gonna be signed.
No left turn sign? Yeah, no left turn sign.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from the board, questions for Betsy? If not, you can wrap it with your last witness. Whatever.
You swear the testimony you're gonna provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the
I'll
record.
spell both. It's Strange. Craig, Creigh, Rancamp, Rahenkamp.
Give the board the benefit of your professional credentials, please.
Undergraduate Penn, graduate Georgetown, postgraduate work at Harvard. I've been in the field 44 years, licensed in New Jersey for 30, 100 hearings and trials in the Superior Court and State, and appear regularly before planning and zoning boards, including this one a few years ago.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
They say you can tell a Harvard man, but you can't tell him much.
Yeah, I would leave that one out. Just stop. For some reason, that one gets me in trouble. In any case, the good news is you got to the planner, and I'm last. And to shorten the evening, I was here for the testimony. I will adopt the testimony of Mr. Cavalda, Mr. Feldman, and Ms. Dolan. So I don't need to repeat what they said to you. They addressed the how, where, and why of our variances. I'm going to just tie it back quickly to policy. These are C2 variances. We're balancing benefits against detriments. As you heard counsel ask Ms. Dolan in the last question, obviously the primary benefit here is creating the space to allow the additional landscaping and the additional amenity area that the board was looking for. In the circumstances, I think that's the overriding issue. But there's a couple other more details. On cartway width, Ms. Dolan described to you the 24-foot works. From a planning perspective, the reason we see in commercial ordinances going up to the 26-foot width is because you have some chaos in larger shopping centers. Pedestrians walking down long aisles to get to the stores, shopping carts, goods, that sort of thing. None of that is occurring at the scale of the retail that you have here. And all of our pedestrians are essentially crossing the aisle, not walking along the aisle, in which that extra couple of feet is there to protect the pedestrians. So as Ms. Dolan testified to you, from a planning perspective, I agree. It fits the circumstances of this particular site. On parking, as you heard, the ITE standards currently would require less parking than we're actually providing. From an operational point, what I would add to that is that we already know who the office tenant is, which means that the owner has the opportunity to carefully curate who he brings in as his retail tenants. He knows what his parking budget is. He's going to have to allocate it carefully as he brings in tenants. That won't work here, but those are choices that can be made to make sure that it works. The good thing from a planning perspective is that we don't have anything in the immediate walkable area that if somebody couldn't find a space here, they're going to go park there and come here. We're relatively isolated, so it's going to be a self-enforcing parking limitation. If a customer can't find a space, they're going to just leave. So it's going to be that kind of circumstance. So we have plenty. I don't think there's going to be a problem. It can be curated, and even if there is, there's no impact on adjoining. Belt suspenders and one more. And the last one is the sign. You saw from A5 and A6 exhibits that if you move the sign back another 10 feet, it's going to be hidden by the landscaping. And then the applicant's going to want the additional height to be able to see the sign over the landscaping. I think it's a reasonable design compromise to bring the sign closer to 10 foot to the property line, gives drivers the opportunity to pick up the sign, read it, and make a determination to turn or not turn. But you're serving a communication purpose here and overall circulation safety. And I think the 10-foot smaller sign works as effectively as a deeper setback taller sign, and it's aesthetically, I think, better for the site as the board has determined. So for those reasons, I think the benefits for these variances outweigh any detriments. I don't see measurable detriments that I would weigh them against and would urge your approval.
Is it your testimony that the benefits substantially outweigh the detriment?
Yes.
Been taught that myself.
So somebody's been in your ear.
It wasn't me. The benefits outweigh, but not substantial.
Substantially, although I've asked the question, then what does substantially mean? Is it 51? Is it 67 versus 33? Is it 50 and a half? And it's generally a subjective feeling have to determine whether you agree or you stay substantially, and I mean, I do too, but I always ask that because you feel that there's substantial.
When the detriments are zero, it doesn't take a whole lot of benefit to be substantial.
Any questions for? If not, I'm going to open to the public, and so I'll make a motion to open to the public. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is open to the public. Will you please come up and then just list your name and address? I don't think you have to swear them.
So
They're gonna comment,
Okay.
so this is either comments or questions.
So if you could just raise your right hand for me. Do you swear the testimony you provide is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please.
My name is Carla Visser. My address is 1107 Conrad Way in Somerset, New Jersey. I live in Somerset Run. The only thing that I wanted to mention, actually it's been revelatory for me in discovering this. I live in Somerset Run, senior community, and there are actually a lot of people in my community who walk to the existing shopping malls, strip malls that exist in our area. And we're talking about not necessarily able-bodied people, but I see handicapped people with their walkers. And just last weekend, I met people who can't drive because they can't see, who do their shopping with some kind of a cart to go to ShopRite. They walk there and they walk back because they're getting their exercise at the same time. So I love the plan. It looks fabulous. My only concern is safety. With the increasing traffic on New Brunswick Road of trucks and cars, not many bicycles, some but very little. I'm really concerned about these individuals who have chosen that route to, in a way, to do their shopping. I mean, there's Instacart. I'm all for that. But it would make it so much safer and easier. But they're doing it. It's their exercise when they go out and they do their shopping. So I'd like you to consider, in the widths and the crosswalks to ensure that they're safe for, people, doing their shopping but special people doing their shopping. That's all I wanted to ask. It's a reality.
No, it is. It's a great question, and so I want to address it. So it looks to me that if you were a resident of Somerset Run, and you were going to go to this to be built plaza, you would go down the sidewalk on New Brunswick on your side, Somerset Run side, and you would cross and mark crosswalk 4. And I think that's where probably the comment comes in about the ADA compliant ramps. And I'm glad you want to do that because that way you will have a ramp rather than a curb. And you'll be able to get a walker or something up there. So now that's my testimony, which is not what Betsy or Matt. Do you want to and make any comment in terms of its accessibility for wheelchairs, handicap walkers, etc.?
Well, the idea is that the site's going to be fully ADA compliant, as noted in your engineer's review, but also we're proposing to have some retail tenants. We provided for walks and striping all throughout the parking lot to allow pedestrian safe access. I would hope actually that in the development of this site, that those people that would perhaps go to a strip mall further down further down Davidson, yes. Further down New Brunswick would frequent our site if we have tenants of interest here. So we have no objection to making the site safe for pedestrians. That's the whole idea.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment concerning what the lady mentioned. I was going to bring this up after this application. This may be appropriate now. If you look on the rendering or the exhibit they turned in, what this lady is talking about, you have retail in your development, but you don't have ShopRite. You got an awful lot of people from Somerset Run that are walking down the sidewalk to get to ShopRite. They have a sidewalk on their side of the street, but you can't cross over until you get all the way to Elizabeth Avenue. The sidewalk in front of your property, or will have, and I can foresee, and probably she will agree, people will use the light to cross, walk down the sidewalk along your property to get into the shopping center to shop right. Is lot 58.02, which I believe is Somerset Woods. We, as a zoning board, made a huge mistake because when that development was approved, we should have and probably could have gotten a sidewalk on that little section on New Brunswick Road that's at the corner where that intersection is. That will be missing when your project is done. All right? My suggestion is for all of you people to bombard the council and have to take money out of the sidewalk fund, a section of sidewalk in to coincide when your development is doing the job. If this, I'm making a big assumption that this is going to be approved. I think it's also, if there's ever an appropriate time for us as a board to send a recommendation to the council to take some money out of their infamous sidewalk fund and fund this project, because I won't call it a mistake because your project wasn't in anybody's mind when Somerset Woods was built. But that, if that property is Somerset Woods, it's technically part of the frontage on the old New Brunswick Road where they did put a sidewalk in front of Somerset Run up towards Shop Road. It should have been done there also. And
is that the section, Bob, that the township actually does own? Because part of that old New Brunswick Road is actually owned by the ShopRite, but that's the part up near the ShopRite, correct? Not the part near Somerset Woods.
correct.
Okay.
This
So
is
we can't. I'm just making sure that we have the right to spend the money.
I'm assuming that it's Somerset.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, your client would like to make a donation to put in a section of sidewalk for there. I mean, that's not something.
That's quite an off-site improvement. It's not really contemplated by our.
I think that we as a town should be embarrassed enough that this might happen, that we should. This is an oversight and it's a mistake and it should never happen.
And that's why the sidewalk fund, when we have clients or applicants rather before us who do not want to put in a sidewalk, and we agree with them, and we ask them to contribute instead to the sidewalk fund. That's what it's for. I think it's council's fund. I don't know who's funded it. I don't even know that it needs council approval, or maybe it just needs. Anyway, long story short, I would endorse this
I
board.
mean, it's important, if you look at your drawing, you have only a right turn out.
Yeah.
The streets have pretty heavily trafficked. And of course, another bone that I have to pick, since the town refuses, there's 4-ton load limits on roads, you've got trucks using that section to get to Davidson Avenue, which shouldn't be doing that. You have the curve at the end where there's no sidewalk, it's the curve in New Brunswick Road, which has been the site of several accidents over the last year. It's a very heavily congested intersection at times, and people belong there on a sidewalk. I don't know how to get it accomplished or what to do, but like I said,
We'll worry about it. No, we will not force you to make an off-site improvement that's a little beyond the pale. I can probably tell you why it didn't get built, because Somerset Woods a rehab center. I'll bet, this is just this conjecture, but I'll bet what we said to ourselves was, well, and nobody leaving there, all right? I mean, they're not really very mobile, right? And they're not gonna go to ShopRite. And Somerset Run's more active adult. They are gonna go, right? So we probably said, okay, a little bit, forget it, whatever. Or maybe we did it for more landscaping, maybe, who knows why we did it. Bob's right, though. It was, I think in retrospect, had we known, that Somerset Run residents were going to use that heavily to get up to ShopRite and other, we would have put it in without a doubt. That's why sidewalk funds exist, because not everybody wants to put them in, not everybody needs them, and we can collect money in the interim, much like the shade tree fund, and we treat Hamilton with all that money. All the Hamilton Street got re-landscaped, so.
And
That's
Mike,
what it's
Mike,
for.
if it makes you feel any better, that was a zoning board application.
Yeah, it's your fault.
So there is a sidewalk. I'm looking at the arrow. There is a sidewalk, but it's and that was 15 years ago, or 10 or 15 years ago. There's a sidewalk along the old New Brunswick Road, but then it stops at the intersection, and for whatever reason doesn't go along New Brunswick Road. I don't remember why that decision was made.
I was here, I don't remember why it was
Well,
made
well,
either.
like Somerset Wood was zoning, so I couldn't even comment, but I mean, if I was on the zoning board, I'd probably say that what the reason I gave is probably as good a guess as any. No one's gonna remember now. But we'll address that, but I thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I just wanna mention, we are an active adult community, but our apartments are handicap accessible. Okay, so that means that we have people who specifically that reason. Because they may be handicapped, they may have to be in a wheelchair, and they can roll around our apartments because all the, the doorways are very wide. I mean, it's a wonderful aspect of where we live. So it attracts people, to that community, and that's why increasingly I'm hearing this from people, who can't drive, but they can walk. Thank God, they can walk.
No,
So-
this is a good idea, and as a board, I'm happy to author a letter to council or whomever it may be that controls this not mythical, it exists, but to actually use it is a good idea, Bob. So
See, I think it should be a letter from you, number one, so that there's a record of it, and it's public. And,
I'm fine with that.
maybe something will get done, and it's appropriate to do it when, if this is approved, it's appropriate. You might even be able to arrange for whoever does your sidewalk to do that one, but the town pays for, that part of it. I mean, nothing like coordinating.
To work with the town.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing is, when we always face this, and again, this is what the sidewalk fund was created for. There's always gaps. There's always things that come up later on. For example, 500 Atrium is a great example, right? It was an office building. Yeah, you may want a lot of sidewalks because the people would walk on their lunch hour. Now it's going to be a warehouse. So, but things go in the opposite direction, right? And so you don't put sidewalks, and you say, well, you need sidewalks, and then the use changes, right? And things evolve. So that's why we have this ability to redress those. So,
Thank you very much.
anybody else want public comment? Seeing no takers, I will move to close the public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Matt, any final comments?
Yeah, so as I stated in my intro, we're looking for preliminary and final site plan tonight with the various release that was outlined relating to the drive aisle width, 1 foot short, small parking deficiency, and the compromise over the sign setback or the height of the sign. We, as a applicant and our team, we came to you with a plan. You provided your feedback. We took that feedback and we wanted to implement a plan that made sense for the town, that was aesthetically pleasing, safe, and attracted the kind of high-end retail tenants that we think were fit for this section of the township. And that's part of the push and pull that occurs with every planning board application. So we come here as applicants looking to be collaborative and deliver something that works for the town. I hope you feel that this application does that, and to the extent that there's some cleanup that needs to be done related to some of the reports and moving one of the basins under the parking lot, we'd ask for that to be a condition of approval. I think we've demonstrated that we should be entitled to an approval tonight, and we ask for your consideration.
Thanks, Matt. So as far as board discussion goes, I mean, I'll tell you we're on that. I this is the third time. I think now the application has evolved to pretty much what we had asked. Maybe before the testimony tonight, I was thinking, based on reading the staff reports, I would suggest that we give preliminary but not final, much like we had done on Hamilton Street where they had to clean some things up that might have affected the design. From what I've heard tonight, however, I don't see anything that remains in the plan that would suggest that it's going to change the plan. Obviously, if it did, you would have to come back anyways. But I mean, counting the trees and cleaning up some CAD drawings and various other things would not really change what is before you tonight. And so I'm okay with doing both preliminary and final. And so that I think what I'll do is I'll make a motion for that. Once we get the motion in a second, we can have discussion if we need to. In compliant with all staff reports, remaining redress of staff reports. With the three variances, one for the 10-foot sign that is 10 feet setback, one for the aisle width, and one for the number of parking spaces. Chapter 222 tree calculations as a condition of approval, the 10 p.m. cutoff that was testified to for the lighting, and basically anything else in staff reports, also outside staff reports, obviously, will have to be signed off on, such as DNR Canal. And I don't.
It's outside agencies.
Yeah, outside agencies will obviously have to have their own staff reports complied with. So. Anything else, Pete, that I should bring into that?
I think, there are a few other things mentioned on the record, but I'm sure we'll make sure to reflect that in the resolution.
Yeah, I was taking some notes. Those were the biggest. The crosswalk obviously is anything that's on the whoever managed to get a recording tonight. You'll be taking the notes.
I took copious notes.
Yeah, so fine. So anyway, that is my motion.
Ted has a question.
One thing,
Yes, Ted.
I'm not totally clear whether the aisle width is big as for 24 feet or 25 feet.
25.
It's
I thought
25.
it was 25, but then some of the testimony has said 24. Maybe it just hadn't caught up to
No,
the latest version.
That's because the ITV standard talks about 24, so when you heard 24, they were referencing the guidance from the ITV. We're actually providing 25.
Good. That's what I thought the situation was. I wanted to be clear.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I forgot to ask, what is happening with the mature trees on Davidson? I think it was mentioned the last time, right, on Davidson in the corner? As a turn in. Are we preserving them? Because I think the question was that some of them, they were not salvageable.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to the extent that I think there was already testimony on this tonight, I think the engineer had indicated that he's going to work with Mr. Healy and preserve those trees to the greatest extent practical.
Those were the ones
Yeah.
on Davidson.
Just so that we don't
Gotcha.
conceivably create additional testimony that would then require us to open up. It's already been there. That's the only reason I
Thank
took it. So, because I have it in my notes, it was there and I could summarize. Appreciate it. Thank you. You got it.
All right. So I have my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Theodore Chase,
Yes.
Robert LaCourte,
Yes.
Shaw Keller,
Yes.
Jennifer Ragno,
Yes.
Mahir Rafiq,
Yes.
Robert Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for working with us and getting us to where it needed to be. I heard they think before that we don't have another meeting this month.
No.
So everybody be nice and not naughty. So have a good now you have our calendar, so make sure you bring it back and have some companion, put it up there. And we'll see you in the new year in 2026. So have a great holiday, everyone. Oh, motion to adjourn. Okay. All right, all in favor? Done we are.